Okay, Andy and Dan, thank you for joining this conference because it's great to have a real advertiser with real experience. And I thought it would be good to start off with kind of what is the bank's vision for one-to-one marketing?
Great, thanks. Appreciate everybody having me here. From a one-to-one marketing standpoint, for us, it's been an evolution over the last few years, moving on from, more of that transactional mindset in terms of, delivering new accounts for whichever line of business it is and really driving deeper, relationships overall and becoming much more of a relationship-based business versus a transactional-based. And so with that, we've been also evolving the way that we're looking at things from how we deliver marketing campaigns in the overall marketplace. In particular, we're shifting from being product-led and everything revolving around a credit card or an investment or a home loan, and really being more focused on what is right for this audience, and it's not a one-size-fits-all push. So, when we look at it is you've got the traditional mindset of mass marketing that is still important, but the idea there is that you create an asset for a product. It's all about the product value prop. You create the various video, audio, print, digital assets that you need, and you push it out to everybody. And that just doesn't work anymore for everything. It's great when you're trying to build brand sentiment and really tell the story of your company. But when you're trying to really create a relationship with people, you have to start to think through, what is the need state for the different audiences that you're trying to reach? And that's where we're really going here and pushing that out. So, we're trying to get away from designing for a product and delivering to the masses and really designing for an audience and delivering to individuals.
Well, that sounds like a perfect segue to ask a question about...
I designed it that way.
Addressable television. So the bank has stepped into the addressable space, addressable TV space. Can you talk a little bit about the campaign that you have run and how you approached talking to the consumer and structuring it a little different than you did your traditional television?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did an addressable campaign. It launched just about a year ago, actually I think a year ago this week. And we did it in support of Merrill Edge, which is a self-directed online investing tool that we offer. And what we were finding is we had done some national TV campaigns for it, and they had performed well. We had seen some increases in attitudinal metrics that we were looking for. It was really helping to drive awareness. But we also knew that the core target for Merrill Edge was only about 15 to 20% of the people we were reaching. So we had a significant level of waste there. And so as Dan and I and Lou Piscalis, our team leader at Bank of America, we were talking about the opportunity that this would be the perfect product to use and offering to deliver to the marketplace for this, because we could really define and build some segments that wouldn't make sense to read out on a national basis because they're so small. So we were able to work with, in a highly regulated industry like we're in. We had a lot of dialogue for many months with our legal and compliance partners, and then also with our data and analytics partners to actually build out the segments. And we're able to really define some unique audiences, both within current Merrill Edge customers, current bank customers, as well as a pool of prospects to deliver this to. And we were really happy with the way it delivered. It was a much smaller footprint than what you would see with a national campaign for obvious reasons. One, that not every partner is doing addressable right now, but then also that we were, our match rate was much smaller than what you would get out of the full footprint.
Which is the point of addressable,
Absolutely,
is that
yeah.
you want to find the sweet spot between 15 and 20% for your product. Could you talk a little bit about frequency and how difficult it is to deliver the core value of your message with a low level of frequency, and how addressable potentially helps you on that as well?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that, because I meant to mention that before. It's one of the benefits that we have with national TV is we're reaching everyone. But one of the restrictions that we've had is Merrill Edge has never ever been the dominant budget share within our overall budget. So we've been at lower, like more base level weights in market, and this is for a fairly new offering that we've got. It's a solution that's only been available to the public for a little more than 5 years, so it's still in a lot of ways in its infancy. And we're running in national TV anywhere from 50 to 75 TRPs a week, and so it's really hard to break that awareness barrier when you're running at levels like that. When we did the Addressable campaign, we were able to more than double the frequency on a monthly basis that we've been able to do with a national TV campaign, and at a fraction of the cost of what we were spending on national television.
Excellent. Before we get to results, Dan, do you want to talk a little bit about your role and how, as an agency lead on this account, you were able to bring core capabilities like this, and maybe some of the issues that you encountered to get bank up and live?
I think a big part of our role is to kind of continue to bring principled approaches to planning and investment to what we do in the addressable space as well, and then kind of add new capabilities with the way that we think about building segments. When we go to market in television, we never really think about building a segment and different aspects of what's important to us. And so using a new way of thinking kind of brought new capabilities from within the agency that we hadn't tapped into before. So folks that part of the team that you led became part of our extended team. And within Starcom MediaVest Group, we had kind of dedicated resources that had expertise in this area, both engaging the marketplace and then also kind of coaching through the steps along the way. How do you build a segment? How do you kind of work through the match rate process? How do you think about the value equation? So a lot of new resources, I guess, brought to bear that wouldn't have existed kind of as part of the normal way we service the business.
So for both of you, what do you think the key accomplishments are of the campaign that you just wrapped up?
I would say, from the two levels there, I think there's some internal barriers that we were able to break down. This was new, and even though it's not really that different in a lot of ways, I explained it internally, was you're really doing a direct mail delivery in-house through television without as hard hitting of an offer, obviously. But in a very risk-conscious environment that we work within, being a bank, there was a lot of dialogue that took place. We were really able to work through a lot of different dialogue. We were able to get a lot of people to champion this campaign, which we're really proud of. And then also we did see some pretty good results out of it. We did not get to run the campaign in market as long as we wanted to for a variety of reasons. We were only in market for about 9 weeks, but we saw some really strong attitudinal lifts. We went into market, I think this is probably important to note, we went into market with a creative that had actually been in market for over a year prior. So there was we were already past wear-in levels on that, and had run at about 1,400 TRPs in market nationally before it ran in the Addressable campaign. So, your base level recall is already going to be significantly higher than normal. But what we still saw was post-campaign, the test group actually had 24% higher recall than the control group, which we were really excited about seeing that. And in addition to that, we saw some key brand attributes. We really saw upwards of 30% lifts in trustworthiness, knowledgeable, and streamlined investments. And streamlined is really the key message within there. So very excited about that. And then one sort of unexpected piece to it, while we would expect that it would help reinforce existing Merrill Edge customers' confidence in being a customer with us, but we saw some really high lifts there. Particularly their brand impression was up 15 points over the control group, and their likeliness and intent to expand their relationship with us and deepen there, whether it be some form of an additional account or opening a loan through Merrill Edge, was 14 points higher than the control group. So very pleased with those results.
Go
ahead.
Can I add just one thing? The one thing that I think is the most striking upside about activating an addressable TV is actually what is available to you from a measurement standpoint. So we think very frequently about this holy grail that we pursue as marketers, to have end-to-end closed loop measurement, and how we crave that everywhere we go, kind of from a planning and buying standpoint. And that exists here, that the way that we can kind of structure the way that we go to market and the way that we measure, it is just so different that you kind of have things available to you that you don't have anywhere else. And I think if we've had a learning in the last couple of weeks is that statistical modeling with inherent bias can be dramatically wrong. And we, yeah, right. And so I think we see that from a marketing standpoint all the time. So the fact that we kind of have a very clean way of measuring results, behavioral, attitudinal, just makes this really compelling when we talk with insights and analytics folks and we kind of understand what was the actual ROI of what we put in the marketplace. We can have high confidence that we know what that number is.
So one last question. Now that you have some really solid experience underneath you, what one or two things would you recommend to the marketplace that you're looking for from an addressable product to continue your excitement with it?
I think for me, one opportunity would be, from the client side standpoint, is if you're in a large organization and there's multiple analytics teams, is make sure everybody's engaged and on board with the measurement process, because there's a lot of dialogue. Because to Dan's point, this is a completely different beast than most are used to working within, and so there's everybody's kind of got a different methodology that they want to move forward with, and so we had a lot of internal litigation, which is a good thing, but that was something that in hindsight, on the forefront, would have a lot more dialogue about that, and that's a part of the timeline I've built for our forthcoming second addressable campaign.
Excellent. How about you? Yeah,
the one ad that I would love to see come is to make it a lot easier for us to build and traffic and have segments that are dynamic. If you think about the way that you build something in a DSP context and push it out into browser-based media, in many cases it's as simple as kind of a drop-down menu that then you push and you traffic directly to a partner. In the addressable space today, it's much more like baking a cake and then shipping it via FedEx, and then maybe it comes back in pieces. So I think that would be a big improvement. It would add speed to the process, and then if we could make it dynamic so that the segment could be constantly being updated. Because right now what we have is static definition of a segment, traffic, run the campaign, and we can't make changes to it throughout. Whereas we know that folks are coming in and out of the segment all the time, but we're not reflecting that as we're in market. So that's a big improvement that I'd love to see come.